Welcome back, you guys. It is Wicked Raider 22. Having a chance to open a couple of shards. I know. They warn you all the time to wait to open your shards. There have been several summon boosting moments. I believe actually the other night we just had one, especially if you're looking to pull a particular type of champion. But I'll be honest, just with a little gameplay, we've acquired two of our ancient shards and six mystery shards. Normally, if I am running those multi battles, you guys know you will pull a ton of mystery shards. And for this particular account, I would love to get an armager. I have gone through Armiger so many times. I've pulled him on other accounts. I have had to use him as food so many times. But guys, there are people in the end game that are still using him. So there are a few champions, especially that I know I want to pull, and I've got to do it. It's got to be the moment. It has to be the moment. I will go ahead and open these particular shards, and then we'll take a look at the shards that I opened over the past weekend, actually. So I've had a chance to add three new additions to the team, just kind of see how champions are coming together. Because at this point, most of you guys, especially if you started with me, you have been making choices between champions, and sometimes it gets a little hairy. You want to make the best choice, but hey, it does happen. So let's take a look. We'll do the ancient shards. We have two of these, so we're going to throw in our 20,000 silver. All right, all right. We have Twin Claw Disciple. I don't know. Yeah, he's giving me kind of baby Gellick's brother kind of feel, maybe. A little rough, a little rough. Not very many reviews, and all the reviews do not speak for this particular champion at all. Let's look at his skills. Maybe it'll touch. All right, so skill one, we're going to look at this figure. Attacks one enemy, has a 35% chance of placing a 100% heal reduction debuff for 2 turns. Now, I'll be honest. I'm thinking Spirit Keep here. I mean, the attack one enemy isn't impressive, but he's an orc. The 35% chance, which you can get it to a 45% chance of placing that 100% heal reduction. That heal reduction, I am only honestly thinking about because I am specifically thinking about those bosses, those dungeon bosses, especially that are able to heal themselves. Even in campaign, I'm thinking about a couple of areas after you go through the area where you get war maiden at. Yeah, okay, okay. Tendon carve. We've heard that one before. Attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a 15% weakened debuff for 2 turns. What I am not loving, though I do like that 3 turn cooldown, the number of books we're getting to is a bit much. We can add 25% to that buff debuff. We can also go in and add 20% of damage because he is an attack base champion. And if we ascend you 3 stars, tier of shreds, attacks one enemy, has a 50% chance of placing a block active skills debuff for 2 turns. This chance increases to 100% if the target is under a heal reduction debuff. This guy kind of hits me as the crowd control side, but oh gosh, have you seen his HP? Wow. HP guys at 2000. Oh my. Not impressed. Not impressed. I'll be honest, that speed of 85, this guy is slow. He's really slow. Um uh, Twin Claw, I can see where the low ratings are coming from. I'll be honest, kind of hurts that we use an ancient shard to pull this guy, but he's looking like some pretty interesting food that will run for a while and then he'll likely be sacrificed a little bit later. Shard number two, in this beginning game, we've only had so many in rares. They are Metal Shaper. This is a no. This is a bust. This is a bust. Metal Shaper. I'm pretty sure you guys have probably pulled him before. Yeah, the reviews are about as excited as I am. Look at the Hydra rating is even worse. So, Transference Bolt attacks one enemy, has a 30% chance of stealing one random buff from the target. Of course, his damage is going to be based on defense. Places a shield buff for 45 fortified steel on all allies for 2 turns. The value of the shield is proportional to this champion's level. Yeah, you can add 20% to that particular shield and put it on a 2-turn cooldown. He also has rescue level, heals the ally with the lowest HP by 20% of this champion's max HP. Also places a 25% increased defense buff on that ally for 3 turns. So not only can add a little HP boost, we'll give a little semblance of protection as well. You can get this down to a 4-turn cooldown and increase that healing by an additional 20% to get it up to 40. Last but not least, increases ally defense and faction crypts by 15%. Yeah. Y'all, Lizardman has always been that category that I have just not been impressed with. And those 2 champions, let's just say, not impressive, not impressive. We're going to come over to our mystery shards. This is where we're always holding out hope. Here comes another little baby coming. We've seen Sister Militant so many times before. Not the favorite one. Commonly used as food. Death Knight is another one commonly used as food. Coming in with another one. Yep, this guy is Skinner. We've used Skinner quite a few times as food, and that's where he'll definitely be going into that category. We've seen Preacher a couple of times before. All of my 1 skill guys, very few of these will be used as anything other than food. Swordsman is going to be another one. We've got 1 more to go. And we're going to be looking at Ranger. We've definitely gone through Ranger's skill kit as well. So the biggest thing is knowing that Clan versus Clan is coming up. A lot of multi-battles are in the works. It's a good chance for us to kind of, just go in and kind of look at what we have. Now, I can't be mad at that one because we've had some pretty good pulls so far. And let me show you how these pulls go. Guys, we pulled Mother Superior. I don't know about you, before a rare champion, especially when we're looking at Sacred Order with reviews. Her reviews overall are pretty good. Maybe not in Magic Keep, Fire Knight, or Spider's Den, which I've kind of got a team in mind for Spider's Den. But Mother Superior, I got excited when I pulled her because a couple of these skills, they kind of hit. They kind of hit. Start with Lightning Sanction. Attacks one enemy, has a 35% chance of placing a 25% decreased attack debuff for 2 turns. The damage we can definitely increase by 25%, and she's an attack-based champion. You also have Filled with Blessing. Heals an ally by 30% of this champion's max HP. So you want to make sure she has the HP that's needed. You also want to make sure you're focusing on that attack area as well. Once we ascend this champion, heals, of course, is going to place that shield buff equal to any surplus heal for 2 turns if the target is fully healed by the skill. You can get this down to a 3-turn cooldown. You can increase that heal by 30%. Filled with Blessing on the right team with the right other support champion that probably can also do a little bit of damage can be impressive. So at this point in the game, Mother Superior can actually add a little bit to our team. Brim of Life is going to be the 3rd skill, places a 7.5% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns. We've seen this with a couple of previous champions. Places a shield buff equal to 10% of the target's HP on all allies for 2 turns if an ally's HP is full. So giving that continuous heal, giving that shield, and overall not requiring too many books in order to get it done. Now, the likelihood of pulling dupes of Mother Superior, cannot argue with that one. Haven't been successful enough for that. But she also comes in with the aura, so adding that 13% in speed for all battles. I think for her, running her on a campaign team as I've been building her particular skill level has proved pretty helpful for me. The other thing that I definitely started paying attention to and noticing, to say the least, when putting her on a team is you're really putting in your mind the effectiveness behind what you're doing, what you're actually trying to accomplish at that particular point. So if I am thinking about the other champions that we have, and this is how I really want you guys to start thinking about your power levels on the teams, especially if you're going into the era where you can finally get to tag team. What position, what role will this champion be most beneficial in? I've seen teams that are running, and let's say like in your Ethel, you have an armor guard, you have a shield guard, and then they'll have like maybe a diabolist. Like it's running tanky, but it's running extremely slow. They haven't maxed out the champions, and they're being taken down pretty quickly. So it's one thing that you definitely want to pay attention to. Now, here's another guy. I end up pulling Lamellar. I have pulled him before on my personal account, and I did not keep him. I went in, used him for a little bit, and this guy actually became food for another champion. As you can see, mid-grade all day long. Hydra, he has a 4, but skills include Sacred Flame, so he's going to attack one enemy. We're in Sacred Order faction, is pretty standard. Has a 10% chance of placing a 30% decreased defense debuff for 2 turns. And the amount of damage that he's able to do is, of course, based on his HP. Crystal Burst is another one. He will attack all enemies. You can get this down to a 3-turn cooldown. If he's going, for example, behind Elhain or Deliana or Sniper, if he is on a team with either of these, this can turn out that second attack can be pretty helpful. With the amount of damage that he's coming in with, you can get him to the point where he and Sniper are kind of going back and forth. He doesn't hit as hard as Sniper by far, but he can be a nice addition to the team. Die Hard, is passive, can also be helpful. Decreases the damage taken by this champion by 30% when their HP drops below 30%. It would be nice for this passive if he was actually either shielding or protecting his allies instead of kind of focusing on where this particular champion is. Or if he could take Die Hard and apply it to either the team or to at least 1 to 2 other allies. His aura is pretty standard. He's going to add HP and faction crypts by 22%. I've actually only built him out for one reason. Not the best equipment by far, but I was using him to get through a little section of faction wars because at the time I didn't have enough champions for it. But this guy will eventually turn into food to kind of help bolster the other members of our team. You guys can see this entire row where Mother Superior is currently located. Definitely looks a little different. Lavabird, this one I've heard a little bit about. Across the board, Arena, we wouldn't use them there. Fire Knight's Castle is another one. Hydra has proven a little bit too difficult for me at this point, and Magic Keep as well. So this guy is going to be one of those support champions. Looking at his skills, it can get kind of interesting, I will say. Pressing Advance is going to be the first skill, so attacks one enemy 2 times. Each hit has a 25% chance of filling a random ally's turn meter by 5%. And of course, we can increase that damage by 10%. That buff debuff chance can also be increased by 10% as well. Reign of Gore Attacks all enemies, places a 15% continuous heal buff on all allies for 2 turns. This is double what you normally see. The downfall is on a 4-turn cooldown, and you cannot change it. Usually you only see a 7.5% continuous heal. I think there's a couple of champions that may have a 3 or 4%. 15% is not bad for those 2 turns, but this is on that 4-turn cooldown, of course. Bestial Communion, we're going to heal target ally by 25% of their max HP. Once he is ascended, not only will he do the 25%, but will also place a revive on death buff on them for 2 turns. I haven't seen this. The revive on death buff, and we can get this down to a 5-turn cooldown. The cooldown periods is probably the number one thing that's kind of limiting me with this particular champion. I want to build him out. I have been running him as far as campaign, but I would definitely like to see what his skills are like once he hits that 4-star, especially if he's ascended kind of level. His aura will increase ally speed in all battles by 10%. And we've definitely gotten some higher percentages along the way. So I don't expect him to be a game-changing champion, but definitely a champion that could be helpful in a couple of areas of the game overall. Last but not least, on this little roll, we got Apothecary. If you have not pulled Apothecary, or if you have pulled Apothecary, here's one thing I most definitely want you to do is click that lock. Apothecary has been a really nice addition, not only to my personal account, but he will definitely end up being a really good addition to this account as well. I'll be honest, I love and prefer to run Apothecary with another support champion, or with another champion that does have at least one skill that will support the team. I think he does extremely well. On my personal account, I run him with Dur the Hungerer all the time. I will have maybe Dur in the 2nd position. He's probably in the 4th position. A couple of nukers on that team, one other person with a unique skill who may be a little bit squishier than the other ones, but he is wonderful at support and can also give you a little bit of damage as well. Scatterbolts, he will attack 3 times at random, and I'll be honest, his at random is not half bad. You can increase the amount of damage by 25% by getting him book. Now, I have not pulled a lot of copies of Apothecary. To be honest, I pulled this guy from a shard. I was really impressed. I have not done that too often. I've watched several shard videos where people have pulled him, so I know that it's possible. But it's one of those that's definitely worth keeping, especially early and mid game. Soothing Chant is going to be the 2nd skill. Heals a target ally by 35% HP. This heal can be critical, which is beautiful. I've had some battles where my lead champion was almost wiped out. Apothecary threw out this particular skill, hit them with a critical, and they were full health, and we were victorious. You can get this down to a 2-turn cooldown, which makes it kind of nice. You can also go from the 35% to 50% for that HP on that heal. Boon of Speed places a 30% increased speed buff on all allies for 2 turns. For me, Apothecary was really instrumental when I was trying to boost the speed of Sniper, for example, Marquez, Diabolus, Eris is another one. I think they do really well when you're coming in and trying to keep that team moving forward, especially when you make it to your boss level. So if everyone is going back to back, number one is going to save you the HP that's needed, or the XP that's being, used. But the other thing that you're looking at with the increased speed is the benefit that your nukers are able to go more than once per turn. So that's going to be a big one for you as well. And the fact you can get this down to a 3-turn cooldown is definitely worth it. Last but not least, the aura. You are increasing ally defense in dungeons by 21%. Hands down, Apothecary can be a game changer for your account. Guys, the rest of these, I've heard someone talk about, Ad Monitor. Admonitor is one of those, you battle him. I can't with the books. I appreciate the damage. Even he has cover, which is that secondary attack. You can get down to a 2-turn cooldown for ally protection. If you do not have another champion currently that does ally protection, is one that you may want to think about. There have been a lot of times where I will literally keep a champion because of one skill in particular. If you're looking over, you're probably wondering why is Heart Piercer sitting at 4 stars. Guys, she's gearing up to be food. There's no other way to say it. These champions, I've got to get this down to a solid 6. I'm not really happy with where this 6 is kind of sitting. I consider them at the moment to be pretty weak. So I've got to decide who will be sacrificed and who else will I continue to build just to get them to the next level. And Heart Piercer has definitely been one of those. The other thing I'm looking at is all of my champions, like Outlaw Monk, for example. Commander is another one because you've pulled so many of them. Sister Militant is another one. All of those champions will probably become my go-to food champions. Like I will literally only carry them through and star them up so that I won't have to continue to, sacrifice the better champions because they're coming into me as a higher level. The other thing is the lower level they are, you're not doing very much for them. It doesn't take as much to pour into them either. So it's one of the things to think about. If you have not used your shards, if you did do a recent shard pull, definitely let me know what you were able to pull. Were you using ancient or mystery shards? Did you get lucky and get some legendaries in there? Or was it a void shard? Would love to hear from you. As you can see, we have zeroed these out. We're going to do a little bit of gameplay, of course, getting ready for the clan versus clan. But I will follow up with you guys. If you've made it this far in the video, go ahead and subscribe for me. We're releasing content every Monday through Friday at 7 a.m. As always, waiting for the next event, waiting for the next opportunity, and I will talk to you guys soon.